This year, it's whatever happens in the room is the show. I've got no intention of filming it and selling it. I don't want to tour it. I want Fringe goers to have a genuinely good time. And there is absolutely nothing funnier than watching a room full of people debate Lou Bega lyrics.
Hello and welcome to Tickets Still Available. I'm Murray and I'm doing my best to help comedians sell tickets for gigs they're maybe a little worried about. And as it's Edinburgh time, I'm trying to help Oliver Horn to sell and promote his stuff at Edinburgh, which is probably the most terrifying place you can perform at. Although you're quite a veteran at this point, Oliver.
Yeah, I don't know how that's happened. I still feel like I'm just getting started.
Okay.
Yeah, Edinburgh's funny. It really is its own ecosystem that, you get people coming back year after year. So I've had people come and see my shows who first saw me, literally 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. But the good thing is there's always more audience. There's always more people that can come and see you. And yeah, I'm quite grateful that this, particularly last year, I noticed a huge chunk of the audience were people that had seen me before. But that doesn't mean that you still need to win them over each year. You can't rely on people coming back. And also you can't rely on people finding you. You get lost even by your own fans.
What made you want to do a show about a man called David from Germany?
Called David?
That's his real name. Isn't Lou Bega's real name is Dave?
Is it actually? Well, I need to. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, this. Look, I've actually. This is great. I've actually. Oh yeah, you're right. David Lou Bega Balamezi. Very good. Well, look,
Italian Ugandan.
Yeah. So I knew that. Look, what you've done is you've researched Lou Bega better than me. Which
I mostly just watched. What do you call it? Todd in the Shadows. He does a very good one about his rise to fame.
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Well, I need to watch that too. Look, I've been marketing myself as the UK's leading Lou Bega expert, and it's starting to stick. But I do. People like you, I now need to put a bit of work in because I've not even read all of his Wikipedia page, but I still think I've got a better knowledge of his discography than most.
Well, yeah, he seems to have a very similar theme. It's sort of. He tries to keep that sort of womanizing but slightly fun PG thing going.
Yeah. He Lou Bega fucks. But actually he doesn't. So all of his songs are about him womanizing, but actually he's just been a married man for a long time. He's a Christian. Like he's sort of cosplaying as
so he's not doing a Pitbull where he seems to do what billionaires do and have like lots of IVF going on.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean the show came about, what you're referring to is my show title, which is let's listen to some of Lou Bega's other songs together for an hour. And this isn't, sorry to interrupt, which I need to stop doing because I do it too much. Sure.
Quite often people joke about having a show title that's like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone to like trick people to come. But this is literally, you're listening to Lou Bega for an hour.
Yeah. There's nothing else. So I think I've got 6 tracks that I'm playing. And I will play the tracks, I will hand out lyric sheets, and we will study the songs.
Okay.
And I will give my expert commentary on basically on listening to Sweet Like Cola, what do we learn about Rita? Things like that. So
was the Sweet Like Cola the one he did for Coca-Cola?
Was it written for Coca-Cola? I don't think it was.
There is one that he talks about liking curvaceous women. And
yeah, that's right. That's Sweet Like Cola, where basically it's 3.5 minutes of fat shaming. But I don't think that was for Coca-Cola. In fact, I think the branding is like Coca-Cola adjacent. Yeah, Sweet Like Cola, including lyrics like, I'll just get up on my screen. Stop your diet, baby. You don't have to slim down. Which is the kind of thing that women love hearing. So
definitely.
So the title came about because I think it's really funny to get a laugh from your title. Like I like it when people find the title funny. I also think I've done the Fringe enough now. I've done enough kind of normal stand-up comedy shows. I've done storytelling shows, and I've done more interactive things.
You're into your Richard Herring phase?
Well, what I actually want to do is I kind of want my shows to genuinely be this can only happen at the Fringe. That
Okay.
I've got no ambition to tour this show. Previously, I've kind of used the Fringe as let's come up with an hour, practice it over the month, and then go tour it. This year, it's whatever happens in the room is the show. I've got no intention of filming it and selling it. I don't want to tour it. I want Fringe goers to have a genuinely good time. And there is absolutely nothing funnier than watching a room full of people debate Lou Bega lyrics. Like
Okay.
it's so funny.
Because I thought it might be a bit like Richard Ayoade's book on Is It Permission to Land, where he's taking a very silly throwaway film and really studying it hard. Like, is that what you're kind of doing?
Yeah, well, I've not come across that, but that general idea. I mean, I think there's a rule in comedy, which is you either take the serious unseriously. So that's what Count Binface is doing at the moment.
Yes.
He's taking a serious political event and treating it very unseriously by putting a bit on his head. Or you take the unserious seriously. And so a show which I had some success with, which I am bringing back this year, called The Most Toast, where I ask the audience how much toast they've had. Deeply unserious idea, but I treat it extremely seriously. And that's really why it's so funny, that people match my energy. So they'll come in with notepads and calculators and whatever else. So same is true for this Lou Bega show. I am, in all earnestness, playing Lou Bega's songs, introducing people to the rest of his work, and it only works because he's like a one-hit wonder bit of nostalgia, right? Like,
Are you playing the songs as in just hitting play on a thing, or are you performing them?
I'm not playing the music. No.
Okay.
I connect my phone to a Bluetooth device. I play them off of YouTube Music. It's the
legalities have all been sorted, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, actually, I have to pay PRS to do the show, so Lou Bega
really?
will
Wow.
eventually get his cut. I actually think I'm doing more for Lou Bega's career than he's done this year.
Have you contacted him?
No, I'm worried that I'll get stopped. So,
Okay. I like the idea of just like him in the last one of the Fringe just appears.
Well, my lips are sealed. The show will be full of surprises, put it that way.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a bit overwhelmed.
Well, it's a lot to take in playing Lou Bega's other songs.
It is. When you're talking about you still feel like you're very young, you do have this sort of like Japan era, which is fascinating because but I was looking it up. You just have fluent Japanese. And I was like, oh, okay. I struggle to follow this because he's just perfect Japanese and I don't know any.
Yeah, so I actually have a joke about this. I've had three personalities in my life. In my early 20s, I lived in Japan and spoke fluent Japanese, and that was my personality.
Yes. And here is a little snippet from a television show Ollie did while he was in Japan, just to show how good he is at speaking Japanese.
僕が全然知らなかった製品をたくさん紹介してくれてありがとうございます。他にはないんですか、福岡で。
In my mid-20s, an attractive woman said I looked good in a hat, so I was a hat guy for about 6
Oh
months.
no, it wasn't a fedora, was it?
No, but I bought one for the Lou Bega show, and now I'm in my current era, which is I'm dating an acrobat. So that's now my personality, dating an acrobat, and I'm head over heels. Yeah, the Japan era was I did an A level in Japanese because I wanted to apply to Oxford, and I wanted to get good grades, and my school didn't
Classic
really
move.
Well, no, but that's the thing. Apparently, Japanese was one of the easy A levels. That's literally what my school said. My school didn't really have a history of sending people to Oxbridge, so they were sort of guessing. They thought, well, I got loads of quite bad advice actually.
Well, because I know Korean is one of the hardest languages for English speakers to learn, so I feel like Japanese isn't much easier.
Well, the thing is, the A level is quite easy because there's no speaking or listening in the A level. It's all reading and writing. And you can, if you're smart, you can just sort of learn all the characters. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is still an A level, it is still tricky, but they thought I had a higher chance of getting an A in that than, if I did English or something. So that's what ended up happening. And then I had the A level in Japanese, and then I graduated from law school in the UK, and then I
Did you get to Oxford/Cambridge?
yeah. So I got a lot of
Classic comedian route.
I know, but I really fucked it because I never really did much at Oxford.
Like,
So-
is it Footlights you call it? Is the
Footlights
main
is the
one?
Cambridge one, yeah, and Oxford has the
Cambridge.
Oxford Review, and I kind
just
of
to let everyone know, for a long time that was like the main way into British comedy was going through there.
well, I think it still, in many senses, is. I mean, look at the number of.
It still helps a lot.
Well, look at the SNL cast. A lot of them are from
Okay.
the Footlights, certainly the writing team as well. However, I don't know. I just didn't really. I didn't join the Oxford Review. I didn't really know about it until my last year there. So I had met some people who did comedy. Like I remember I MC'd. What my first MC gig ever was because I was like the old guy, right?
At 21 or something.
Yeah, because I was in my last year and they were all the freshers. They were like, oh, we need a host. And then they invited back a special guest who just graduated from the Oxford Review to headline, which was Ivo Graham. So I think my first MC gig, Ivo Graham headlined. And, but, but it's not like we became friends at the time.
Yeah.
I wasn't really, I wasn't really kind of part of that group. I know some people in comedy literally applied to Cambridge because of the Footlights and they saw that as their in.
Wow.
Very, very smart. But so anyway, so I did that. Then I went to Japan to essentially just to not get a job as a lawyer because I knew once I did that, I'd probably then not.
So you're clearly very bright though, because to do lawyering at that level, it shows that a lot of intelligence.
Yeah, well, it's hard to. I mean, what do I compare it to? I've only got this brain, but I do. I do think it was easier back then when you're in your early 20s, particularly men as well. Actually, I think the reason why men go to war is because we've just got no sense of risk or scale.
Well, hasn't that been proven that like that sort of teenage to early 20s era, men's brains are a bit broken? They think it might be too. They think it might be to defend the tribe, so it's like you have to go out and do stupid, dangerous things.
You have to do completely reckless things, and why not do a master's degree in a language that you don't really speak, right? like that's essentially, I had no sense of sort of shame or like, I don't know, now, if you said, "Oh, go and do another master's degree in a language that you don't speak," I think I'd take a breath before saying yes. Whereas in your early 20s, you just think, why couldn't I? I really had that attitude though. Like I remember Japanese people being impressed that I was doing a master's degree in one of their prestigious universities as well. They were like, oh my God, you're going there. I was like, you wait till you hear where I did my undergrad. I remember them kind of saying, oh, do you not find it hard to study law in Japanese? And my kind of stock response was, well, firstly, I'd already studied law, so I had a bit of
it's easy now,
advantage.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had
Been
a bit
there,
of
done
advantage. But also, I said, like, the thing that motivates me is think about the number of thick Japanese people there are. Like, not everyone's bright. There's loads of dumb cunts, and they've got fluent Japanese, right?
Okay.
And so like, if any, I've got friends that are learning English, and I say to them, I was like, just think about how many thick people there are, and they're fluent in English. You're better than them, so you've got every right to learn the language. So I did kind of just have this attitude of, well, I'll be fine, I can do it. And then I ended up doing some stand-up in Japanese, which again, wouldn't have been good looking back, but I didn't care.
Yeah. What way is this like sentence structure? Because I've heard things like German can be difficult because quite often what would be the punchline in English is almost like in the middle.
Correct. So sentence structure in German is similar to Japanese. The verb can go at the end. I wouldn't say that's the main similarity between the German and the Japanese. They've got other things in common.
Their car industry is dwindling because of Chinese electrics.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's what you were referring to.
Yeah. So it's really hard. It's really hard to explain. But you're right that the punchline. So I'll give you one example. Right, like if I wanted to say, I ate bread. Right, the word bread in Japanese would go before the verb ate. Right.
Yeah.
So you can't do that kind of reveal. You can't do that same reveal that you would do in English, where the noun goes at the end. But also, you when you speak both languages, you don't really see that as a loss because you're not thinking in terms of English sentence structure, when you're writing for Japanese comedy, you're actually thinking, oh, well, there's a pun there between this Japanese word and this Japanese word that then wouldn't exist in English.
But
so
are the Japanese a bit pun obsessed? Because I'm into computer games, and quite often when they bring over stuff, they seem to have this weird obsession. Like, I think, is it a Death Stranding? He's obsessed with how many different things strand can mean in English. And I'm like, calm down.
Yeah, you're spot on. The Japanese, they are pun obsessed. Because Japan has a lot of, is it homonyms or homophones, where basically the word hashi can mean bridge or chopstick. And depending entirely on pronunciation. So like those kind of things, I think made, and like a lot of what the Japanese call nazo, which are like punny kind of jokes. We'd call them dad jokes. They're reliant on puns. I'll give you one example, which is a little bit translatable. There's one which is Uma no isu wa nandoru deshou ka, which is how much does a horse's chair cost? And the answer in Japanese is saddle, which in Japanese is sadoru, and the word doru sounds like doru, which is the American dollar. So it's like, how much does a chair cost? It costs dollars. So like, though it's really strained, it's really contrived, but yeah, they love it.
Okay, but you seem to have taken to it all right. You got laughs and were happy enough.
I mean, but also at the time I didn't really consider it. I even now I don't really consider comedy a viable career. But back then I was just trying stuff. I was just doing fun things.
Mm-hmm. You do seem a very professional person. Like, I've had other comedians get back to me and they're a bit wishy-washy. While you were very quick, you've been very professional coming back. Your website is very up to speed. Also, what I find strange is, am I pressed now? I was in the press kit and I was like, is that me?
Well, I can pull that thread. I got given advice.
Or that strand.
I got given advice really early in my career, which is sometimes it's not about who's best for something, it's about who's ready for something.
Well, I've also heard who's the most dogged. Quite often the best comedians aren't the funniest. They're just like, I don't really care driving from one end of England to the other for 12 people. I'll do this for 10 years. Yeah,
well, exactly. And like, you've got to romanticize that side of things. But, like me just responding to emails professionally and just like, basically my view is like, this opportunity comes in, right? I can either sit on that email for 2 weeks and string you along, or I can just go, well, if it's happening, it's happening. Let's just kind of get it done. So that side of the admin, I just kind of do quickly. But the difference is like I have systems. So like my press release is just made by my PR. I've got the link ready to go.
Yeah.
I've invested in like a home podcast setup because I used to have a podcast. So like this isn't actually a challenge to just come online and get this done. And so
did you ever get your 1,000 regular fans?
Yeah, we did really well.
Because I think it was it was Stuart Lee had said he spoke to a jazz musician, and he goes, "You're a tiny jazz musician that nobody knows. How are you going?" He goes, "I found 20,000 people that will pay for it to see me once a year." So I think it's 20,000. You thought it was 1, and then you thought it was 10 because you were doing the maths. I think it's 20. Is that where that's come from?
We our podcast was about Japan, so we had a bunch of like great regular listeners. We called them the Bryans because our first 3 or 4 listeners who emailed in were all called Brian.
Okay.
And so
it's like your Stevens from what do you call it? The podcast is where you know when you listen to a podcast, you're always a bit like sneery. It feels like you're on this big chair and you go, they've actually got that tiny detail wrong. But as soon as you're on a podcast, it's just like everything just leaves your brain. Adam and Joe podcast. Remember there, Stephen.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And so it did well, but I found it quite hard to commit to the weekly schedule at the time, and my co-host kind of left the entertainment industry. So, but no, at the time we had loads of regular listeners, and some of them continued to come watch my shows, and I'm still in touch with some of them. So, so I guess the advice that I got, which is like just be ready, I think is kind of true. That like I remember the first time I got offered some work on a cruise ship, they were like, "We need you to have a clean set," and I was like, "I've got a video of me doing a clean 30-minute set ready to go on my YouTube, unlisted." Stuff like that, I think, does make the difference. That's not to say I'm not lazy, and it's not to say that I think I definitely could be more industrious, but I just try and put systems in place that makes things easier. And doing podcasts like this, I think a lot of comedians would be a bit scatterbrained because, and I mean this with all due respect, because this is a newer podcast without necessarily a built-in following. So in terms of like ranking the PR opportunity, it would be at the bottom end.
Absolutely.
However, my view is like all podcasts start somewhere. And if I'm like nice and feel like I've done you a favor and you feel like I've done you a favor now, this podcast has every chance of being wildly successful. You will remember me being nice 5 years ago.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And I've kind of found that like there is just a compounding effect of just being approachable, doing things that don't scale, and not kind of rationalizing the value of each decision based on kind of current parameters.
Yeah. But it's also the fact you're doing like, you do a little bit of TV and you're also doing like comedy gigs and workshops and stuff. You just seem to get stuck in at every angle.
Yes, I mean that's probably a side effect of some form of mental illness, or I'm sure someone can diagnose ADHD just looking at my calendar.
Okay,
but yeah,
but some people would just say you're busy, which is what you want.
Yeah, I mean I am, and I like being busy, and I also just think that there is such thing as just having a bit of momentum. You know, I think just when you just do stuff, more doors open. And I've definitely been given opportunities because I've been kind of present and available. Plus also I think in comedy, the people that I've really admired in comedy haven't been those that just do a new stand-up tour every year. They've been ones that have also written a book or done musicals or have, directed a play or, there's just, comedy's so good because once you earn your stripes as a stand-up, people just kind of presume that you can do other things. And so partly it's been about me knowing that there is a richer career in just trying other things. Plus also, to be blunt about it, I don't earn enough money just doing the stand-up comedy circuit. Just circuit gigs can't really, I shouldn't say can't really because I don't know about everyone's circumstances, but I can't work out how if you only do circuit gigs, which pay between, I don't know, 100 and 350 pounds per spot, right?
So is this theoretically as if you're trying to just do as many gigs as you can around Britain?
Yes, but my point is that like I don't just want to do normal stand-up comedy club gigs. It's better if I also, like my fee for hosting a company's annual get-together, is literally 10 times what I would charge a comedy club. I mean, literally 10 times as much. So things like that make a huge difference. And teaching is a nice bit of extra kind of supplemental income, but then also, it all ties together because sometimes people I've taught also then end up running comedy gigs and they go, I really got on with you. Do you want to come and do my gig? And so it all kind of ties in, or I help to book some comedy shows at the Edinburgh Fringe. So, my network being big kind of helps that side of the business. I definitely see the value in not worrying too much about each individual opportunity and just going, well, I'll join the dots backwards. It'll all make sense that I've done all these mad random things. Like this Lou Bega show, I genuinely don't know what's going to become of it, but I hope the people that buy tickets and come have a really, really good time and then support the next project I do.
What age group because you were complaining that like audiences are getting older and older. Do you think this was to appeal to an older group, or because this is one of those songs that's just sort of always about? Yeah.
Well, I definitely, I think millennials will love it because, well, when the show's at 10:30 at night, so I think actual old people are probably in bed by then. I actually think the show, I remember like key moments from my childhood of like going and watching things like a pantomime with my dad and my grandparents. And so I like the idea of doing a show that lots of generations can enjoy. And having worked on cruise ships, as I mentioned, I've kind of got used to playing to lots of different demographics. So yeah, definitely the show is not like here's a breakup show for people in, for millennials who are still living with their parents, as like there are, really good niche shows like that. This is a bit more general. I don't, what I want is audience members that are in on the joke, that kind of get it, that get this whole project stupid, and they've got to come and play their part. They've got to come and pretend that this is serious.
Are you tempted to make him your mastermind subject at some
Oh,
point?
that's the life and work of Lou Bega. I mean, that would be funny, wouldn't it? Yeah, if ever I got into Mastermind, and I wonder how much closer I am to Celebrity Mastermind than regular Mastermind.
Oh, well, I assume you'd be Celebrity Mastermind at this point.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I'm closer to one than the other. Yeah, very interesting.
Just apply for both.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, Eddie, would you like to be on the likes of Taskmaster? Because it seems to be the one that's really helping comedians get seen by, I guess you'd say, an older generation, because it is television, but it is a little bit multi-generational Taskmaster.
Yeah, I think I would enjoy doing Taskmaster. Like I know people that have done it, and they say that the production is just great fun. My theory about stuff like this is once people start asking questions like, why don't you go on Taskmaster to boost your career? It might be that ship's already sailed. That it's kind of the same for Live of the Apollo, that Live of the Apollo isn't the ticket mover that it used to be. Taskmaster might not, like Taskmaster might have had its heyday in terms of the volume of tickets. I kind of think you just got to keep looking for the next thing.
Okay. No, because it's one of those things where I sort of thought a similar thing, but I watched an Australian pair of idiots, I think you could call them, called Cold Ones.
Right.
And they did one based on Taskmaster. And I was like, okay, if it's kind of massive in Australia right now, like, I think it's still always good.
Well, there is a Taskmaster Australia. Yes. I mean, put it this way, the call hasn't come in.
Okay.
Like, I would let you know if I declined Taskmaster. But I definitely think one thing that's a bit of a shame about Taskmaster is it is the biggest TV opportunity for stand-ups, but it's not showcasing stand-up. And I do think there's something wrong that, at least panel shows like Mock the Week had stand-up rounds and you could showcase yourself as a stand-up. Taskmaster, great. Obviously, it's a great show, but I do think it's lamentable that there aren't more mainstream opportunities for stand-up, but also stand-up might not be cool anymore. Like I was speaking to some like actual young people, like people in their early 20s who think stand-up's a bit cringe. They're like, stand-up's for old people. So like stand-up might just need to go through another cycle again.
Okay. Well, I've heard a thing about basically being successful, and apparently it's not intelligence or like hard work. It seemed to be how much cringe can you endure. So you might just have to soak up the cringe. Yeah,
well, there's definitely that idea of like it stops being cringeworthy once you're successful. Nothing about the thing has changed, but the context has changed. Yeah.
Have you found yourself studying the genre of mambo? Well,
I know that like one thing that I have informed audiences of is that the song Mambo No. 5 wasn't even written by Lou Bega. And there was a court case which the song, I think it's Louis Perez is his name, I probably should know that. But the guy who wrote Mambo No. 5 is credited. If I'm going to go on to the Mambo No. 5 Wikipedia page, Mambo No. 5 is an instrumental mambo and jazz dance song originally composed and recorded by Cuban musician Damasco Perez Prado in 1949, and then Lou Bega sampled that song, and then basically there was a copyright dispute, and Bega claimed what he just used like riffs,
like a sample, like you would say in rap or R&B.
But then the German federal court ruled in favor of Prado's estate. And it was kind of it seems like it was on a technicality because Bega's producers had kind of already approached them about using it. So what they said was Bega didn't copy, but he's co-written a new song with Prado, so Prado gets royalties as a co-author. Yeah.
Do you miss your food reviews, or was that specifically a Japan thing you were doing?
No, I do actually. It's funny you mentioned that. Talking of doing cringe stuff, just this last couple of months, I've been vlogging going to restaurants, and it's so
You haven't
cringe.
been mukbanging?
No, not that. Oh, no. I think people derive pleasure from watching me eat, but people might be interested to hear my thoughts on restaurants. So I used to do a lot of food related content, but that was all through like old broadcast media, so it wasn't cringe.
Okay.
But me turning up with a little camera by myself is cringe. Yeah, I've started to do that. I haven't released any yet, but I will, and it feels everything about it's embarrassing.
Well, since you are from old media, how do you feel the sort of food landscape has changed?
I think what's sad about the current like TikTok approach to food reviews, and which I do follow. I follow loads of food creators on Instagram.
It has to have protein in it.
Yeah, well, it's like what looks good, visually is far more important than everything else, such as the opening times of the restaurant, the price, the aesthetic. Like so much is lost to how visually decadent the food looks. And so my approach to reviewing food, I'm trying to kind of give my actual thoughts about not just doesn't this look amazing, isn't this tappable content, but could you imagine actually going out of your way to go to this restaurant? If you happen to be in Bristol and you're in the mood for a burger, should you go to this place? Will this suit you? And I think you can't make that judgment based on just how the burger looks. You have to
absolutely.
So, but I think that a lot of people watch food content as a form of entertainment, not because they're necessarily looking for another restaurant to go to. Just
I remember I used to watch some food stuff like when I was trying to lose weight because there was something nice about, I forget, is it the Try Guys? There's a guy, he'll eat everything on the menu of like an American place, and there's something weird about, these are all foods I'll never try, and it was like kind of just satisfied that part of my brain.
Yeah, well, definitely when you're hungry at night, it's nice to watch someone cook or something. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe the word review is a misnomer. Maybe it is still food entertainment.
Yeah. Would you ever go on the Off Menu podcast?
Oh, I'd love to.
Like that might be a good fit for you.
I think they're both great. Yeah, that'd be awesome. And maybe one day it will happen.
Okay. So Papa Doms or bread?
Well, I don't want to spoil it.
Oh, wow. We should have like dramatic music.
But the answer is obviously bread.
That reminds me, there's a crossover there. Lembeck OPEC was used to be on James Acaster's like old podcast where it's so old that the whole point was like you'd put your iPod on shuffle. And Lembeck OPEC cheated. So it was, if you cheat, you want to have music that makes you sound cool. But it was like all scenes and stuff. It was so bizarre.
Well, that man's called me a cunt before.
Oh, has he? Because I know you put him on that Desert Island Dicks, and I was like, I know he can be a bit irritating, but was there history before that, or was that since?
No, I was just, this was in Oxford that my friend was one of the like organisers of the debating society, and I went to a dinner which had him. And back then we thought it was hilarious. Obviously we're like 19, right? We're kids. We think it's hilarious that he's dating a cheeky girl. And so I just, talked about that for a bit, and he absolutely despised it. He did it. I don't think he has much of a sense of humor. And surprise,
he is strange. He's somebody that wants the media. He wanted the media attention. He was on TV. Like if you consider how many MPs there are, 600, and you'll maybe know about 12. Like for people that don't know, he was popular for being on TV. A Liberal Democrat from sort of Northern Ireland, but not really, was in a plane crash and seemed to like fame, but as you say, couldn't seem to take any sort of criticism.
And also he was dating Gabriella from the Cheeky Girls. That's hilarious. Yes. That is hilarious.
Who were massive at the time, but he did seem genuinely sad when they broke up.
Yeah, well, maybe it was after their breakup. I don't remember. But I remember getting bad vibes from him. But I mean, what a slide from grace that actually, didn't he also date a weather presenter? Yes, he did. I was looking at his Wikipedia now.
Okay.
He dated a Welsh weather presenter who I do recognise, because weather presenters are quite recognisable, aren't they? So he went from a meteorologist to a cheeky girl, and now he's a member of Reform. So good on him.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
They all have. What a fall from grace from Lib Dems to Reform.
what's your opinion? So some of your old specials are on YouTube. What way do you feel about that? Do you feel it diminishes your potential for people to go to see you in Edinburgh? And I've also heard, sadly, some people think like, oh, if I make my own special and I make it and I put it out, it'll be like a Netflix special, and then like nobody watches it.
Well, yeah, well, there's two questions there. One, I think putting anything online is good. I think the old way of thinking about comedy is you kind of got to keep your best stuff and put a paywall behind it. I just think the more stuff that's out there, the better.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, not all of my shows that I've recorded have gone online. In fact, there's one show, the show that I did about Japan was optioned and edited, but then in the end I never put it out because I just wasn't proud of it. So yeah, I think you can't just put out any old crap. Like, I feel quite sorry for people that are starting comedy now that feel that in their first couple of years they need to create an Instagram page and put out reels, and it's just, it's them talking into the void and it's crap because they haven't got a skill set yet. And no, I mean, I put out a show that I actually don't know how many views it got, the one which was filmed at Top Secret, but I remember being pleased with the numbers. And I also
think it was
know
about
that
20,000.
Well, yeah, great. And I know that people that have watched that have then come and seen me live after because they tell me. So that that's good. But also, I just keep getting better. Like, every year, I really think that I'm like getting better at comedy, and I'm writing better jokes, and I'm giving the audience a better time. So I also think that putting that stuff out there shouldn't really matter because I'll just write something new and better, and I'll put that out. So yeah,
I feel like that's what people like maybe get their jokes stolen. I feel like if you are just able to write, you're like, well, that was last year's stuff, I'm going to make new stuff this year.
Yeah, I'm not that fussed, and also I kind of think if someone needs to steal material, then they're in dire straits. Yeah, exactly. Like they need all the help they can get. But they could also just email me and they could pay me for half a day's writing.
Okay, so that's something, if you're struggling as a comedian, just pay Ollie for half a day's writing.
Yeah, I've done it before. I've got to stay busy.
Yeah. Did you ever get to see the pandas at Edinburgh Zoo?
No.
Because I think was there not like a diplomatic thing between China and the UK? So they were kicked out.
The pandas are gone. So I've never been to Edinburgh Zoo. I don't know how I feel about zoos other than if they've got pandas, I'll let them off. So no, I think about it a lot because whenever my favourite Toby Carvery is the one near the airport in Edinburgh, which is...
That's something we don't have here in like Northern Ireland, is Toby Carveries. What way do they work?
Well, you pay next to no money to have a bad quality roast.
Okay.
But that is a feature, not a bug. So there's one near the airport in Edinburgh. So you'd have Toby Carveries in Northern Ireland?
No, don't have the Republic or the North. So it's one of those things, a bit like when you watch maybe shows about America and there's certain restaurants.
Goodness me. I mean, that's really something that Blair should have thought about in the agreement.
Were they about then? Because I only seem to have heard them about in the 10
Yes, they are. They've been about
10 years.
I want to say since 1989.
Okay.
Or 1982.
I know there's places like Wimpy and stuff I don't think ever made it here.
When did it first open? The reason I know this is I've got 1985. The National Chambers in 1985. Although they've only started doing roast dinner since 1998. But I knew it was about them because I've actually got a Toby Carvery sweatshirt that has the founding year on it.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, the reason that's relevant is that's near the zoo. And every time I've gone, I've always thought, I wish I'd gone to the zoo to see the pandas. But no, I'm a fan of pandas, not a huge fan of zoos.
I think the defense of pandas, no, people are like, oh, just kill them because they're stupid. I think that in order to keep them, you need to keep a lot of habitat, and then other animals that are less famous or ugly get to survive because of pandas.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think keep them because they're cute is a good mantra.
How did your back go? You like tore like a sciatic nerve? Are you okay from that? It seemed quite horrific.
Yeah, well, I think it's a slip disc happens. Essentially, it was just a dramatic slip disc. But
I think when you talk about the spinal fluid, maybe go,
Yeah. No, but it's, it's fine because when things like this happen, you kind of go, oh, I better take better care of that part of my body. And then you end up being healthier, right? So when I had the slip disc, I just learned that, well, I've got to make sure that my body generally stays strong and I've got a strong core and everything else. So Yeah, so actually, I think you end up better off.
Okay, brilliant. How did you find podcasts, say, like Glue Factory? Because it seems almost like it can be a bit of a bear pit because they're all very talented.
The first time I did, that's a good question. First time I did Glue Factory, I actually found quite challenging because
there's 4 other ones. Oh, sorry for interrupting. There's 4 other ones there, and 2 of them are best friends.
Yes, and so before the show, you obviously do a bit of small talk, and I am friends with Milo. I would say I'm friends with Olga, but I'm definitely more friends with Milo.
You feel like a kind of alternative Milo in the sense that he went to Russia, you went to Japan.
yeah. Well, that's actually how we first connected. That he was doing a show about Russia and I was doing a show about Japan, and we thought, maybe we can combine our PR. I don't think it ever happened. We've known each other for a while, so Milo was very welcoming and very positive. Olga is an excellent podcaster, by the way. Olga is like a very good active listener. Really like picks up on threads and makes you feel
doesn't
funny.
Interrupt.
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean it's bad podcasting. So, but no, you're right that like once you go downstairs to the studio and you sit in the chairs, it is just like you start recording and you're on. Like there's no kind of warming up. There's no kind of small talk. So yeah, it is quite intense. Second time I did it,
for those who don't know,
easier.
Glue Factory is kind of like comedians talking shop, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of like Riff Central. You just like have to riff very quickly.
Yeah. One thing I found strange is I listened to the start of, I think it's your first episode, and then when I watched it, I went, "You're dressed as Santa Claus."
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I joined for the Christmas special for the first time, and then the next time they came on, they said, "Oh, do you want to come back again?" It was also in December. I said, "I'm not. Am I just now Santa? Am I just the podcast Santa?" But then in the end, I think we did a non-Christmas release episode. But no, but it's the kind of skill where people talk about, older comedians talk about how going on panel shows was a skill. I think being a podcast guest is a skill. You've kind of got to learn what the cadence of the other people are. You've got to work out like whether you're actually going to say anything novel or just regurgitate anecdotes you told before. I think there's a skill to it.
Do you feel like you're definitely someone that's felt like you've put in the graft? Isn't that the idea that you just work hard as a comedian in no gigs in case when you're famous that you're sort of respected, even what background you came from?
Well, I definitely think, I definitely think we as comedians notice what everyone else is doing, right? Like, I think... Well, one thing I'm pretty sure of is there is no successful comedian that hasn't put a lot of work in.
Okay, because Ricky Gervais is always seen as he was a writer and then got massively famous and now he can just sell out everywhere.
But also he was like doing creative stuff during all of his 20s. He started a band, and I don't actually think there's any comedian that doesn't deserve their success. Everyone's worked hard. But that's also true that loads of comedians have worked very hard and have worked hard on the wrong thing and it hasn't happened.
What do you think was, say, something that was the wrong thing, say 10 years ago, that looking back you're like, oh, that was just a dead end for so many comedians?
Well, I kind of wish that 10 years ago I'd started putting out content, video content in Japan. But I was a bit kind of scared of it. But I think if I'd done that, there would have been a compounding effect and that would have gone well. So I definitely regret not having, I wouldn't have wanted to put out stand-up content because I wasn't very good at it, but I definitely could have, done interviews or something that was within my skill set. So that would have been good. I got given lots of advice, which was like, don't worry too much about the circuit. The circuit is dying. Focus on doing your own shows, that kind of thing. And while I didn't follow that advice, I kind of wish I did start thinking about touring my own shows sooner, because I felt like it's a big badge of honor to be a circuit comedian and be able to play the clubs. But the truth is, the green room chatter amongst the most experienced acts is, I wish I didn't have to drive 4 hours to Cardiff to earn this £200.
Are you fed up of Northern Irish comedians yet, or just Irish comedians in general? It feels like we're very in the zeitgeist at the minute. Editing Rory here. Did you notice how I said we? I am not a comedian. Talk about somebody stealing honor, graft. Yes, I just meant as an Irish people, not that I am a comedian. Back to the show.
No, but I actually think the opposite is true. I think there's like, firstly, I know there's a real boom in Ireland, in the Republic. I know that like more comedy clubs are opening, and like it's a real pit stop. Both Ireland and Northern Ireland is more and more a pit stop for English comics to go and tour. And that's why I see that as a good thing. But no, I definitely I like the fact that the Irish diaspora support each other as well. I think that's really good. That like, I think the Irish support each other more than the English.
Okay. You know, I think that's very true. I know even this is when talking about boxing. Some boxers have said like the Irish boxers get by far the most support when they go around the world.
Yeah, but also I benefit from you know, when I'm in Australia, I get lots of British people coming.
Because I think the thing is, Frankie Boyle on his podcast, they were saying that he doesn't, but they go to Australia during the winter months in the UK, which is summer there, so they have a nice sort of winter down under. Is that what you do?
That's exactly what I do. So I'll go out to Australia January, February, March, which is rubbish here and probably too hot there, actually.
Is Australia, it feels like the Australian circuit must be really lively because it feels like there's so many people going there now.
Yeah, it's the festival circuit definitely is. So during festival time, Perth Fringe, Adelaide Fringe, Melbourne Comedy Festival, Sydney Comedy Festival, Perth Comedy Festival. There's stuff over on the West Coast as well. Festivals Australia is very good at. In terms of full-time comedy clubs, I think there's only 4 or 5 full-time comedy clubs in the whole country. There's kind of like 2 proper comedy clubs in Melbourne. One, you know, I'm talking about purpose-built, right?
Yeah.
One in Sydney, one in, well, there was 2 in Adelaide that went down to 1, and that's really only kind of half of one anyway.
Okay.
A very good one in Perth. So actual comedy clubs, I think if you're a kind of a circuit comedian in Australia, it's not very good. But if you do the festivals or tour your own shows, it's an amazing place.
Is there anything you think Edinburgh could learn from Australian festivals?
That's a very good question. Well, actually, I think probably a lot of Australian festivals are definitely in the image of Edinburgh. You know, like the flow of ideas is definitely starts in Edinburgh. That's a very good question. Well, something that I don't like about the Australian festivals is that they are very much weekend festivals. So,
okay.
You know, I would often...
Because
like,
Edinburgh is a month-long slog.
Yeah. And I think that's good. And I think it's good that you can like fill a room on a Wednesday in Edinburgh, whereas you can't, which is where my show is, Wednesdays, 10:30 p.m, which you would struggle to do in Australia. So there's definitely that. One thing that Edinburgh doesn't do that the Australian festivals do offer is like give a bit of a financial safety net for the artists, because some of the Australian festivals, either the festival themselves or a large production company, will essentially salary the comedians. Okay. So, you know, when I did one year I did Adelaide, and I was essentially, you know, things were taken care of. There's a production company in Australia who will fly out British acts and will basically say, here's a guaranteed sum of money, irrespective of how well you sell.
Yeah.
You don't really get those deals in Edinburgh unless you're with, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 agencies that might float you the money, but you still owe them. You know, they're not taking a risk on you.
Do you feel UK comedy's maybe too middle class, or do you think there's still plenty of working class comics about?
I don't really know like what not enough middle class or too much middle class would feel like. What I do think is a shame is that people think that comedy needs to represent them or to echo their ideas. I like watching comedians that I don't disagree with. I like learning about other people through stand-up comedy, right? Like if you watch a comedian that has nothing to do with your life experience, if I watch an Asian female comic, I get an insight into what being an Asian female is like. Yeah. And so
that's what's great about Olga, for instance. She has such a unique life. Everything is very different.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't like seeing comedians through the lens of like race or class, in the sense that I hope that my shows are enjoyable even if we went to a different kind of school, right? Like I'm not there to play to people that have got the same life experience as me. I'm there to make people laugh.
What is it, the Pret a Manger Greg's divide?
Yeah, well, exactly. But that's the funny thing, right? Like people would think I'm Pret a Manger. Yes, I do speak fluent French, but I've got more Greg's loyalty points than you do. So so even these things are pretty nebulous. And while I'm completely sold on the idea that comedy is a lot harder for certain groups of people, like getting into stand-up comedy, your first 5 years as a female stand-up comedian are exponentially harder than a man.
Yeah.
Like, just down to things like personal safety. You go to a gig that pays you 40 quid. Oh, but you can stay on my sofa. A man thinks that's fun. A woman thinks, well, who are the 3 people I'm checking in on before I take that deal, right? So there's no doubt. And definitely there is bias, both in terms of race and class from some existing gatekeepers. There's no doubt about that. But on the other hand, when there are platforms without those gatekeepers. So for every time that I get asked the question, oh, being a straight white male in comedy must suck because no one wants to give you a leg up, I kind of think, well, it doesn't mean that it's harder for me. It just means it might have been easier in the past. But also the gatekeepers that people claim might be against me because of diversity quotas and because of the fact that comedy is better, like a show is better when there's not just straight white men on the bill, right? So that doesn't mean that there still isn't work for me. It just means that I need to be the best straight white man comedian I can be, right? Like I just don't see it as negative. Also, these social media platforms are a total meritocracy, right? Like the Have a Word podcast, I think is the biggest comedy podcast in the UK. That's done by a bunch of straight white men. Finn versus History, one of the biggest comedy podcasts, 2 privately educated straight white men. It's like the opportunities are there, right? These people are not being denied a platform because of their background. No, I don't think there's too much or too little. But what I do think is there are definitely systematic problems. If you've got no money, you can't do the Edinburgh Fringe. That is definitely
Well, that's
true.
what I was going to say. Edinburgh seems to be very expensive. I know Richard Herring keeps talking about how the tickets are so cheap, it's hard to make any money on it if you don't have a cushion to land on.
Yeah. And I work a lot at the Edinburgh Fringe. I will perform 4 or 5 shows a day as a minimum. So and then at least like the unit economics of Edinburgh are mad that like you can earn good money, but then 80% of that still goes to your landlord. I mean, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is like the best way to transfer wealth from the artist class to the landowning class. No doubt about that. But when I started, things weren't that expensive. You could rent a really nice, enormous room in a big flat with a huge kitchen for like 800 quid for the whole month, which is less than you'd pay for rent elsewhere. But the first few years I came up, I slept on people's floors and couches, and I built an audience at the Free Festival, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah, I mean, I wish I were one of those comedians that had wealthy parents or grandparents that said, here's 50 grand, go nuts. Unfortunately, I've had to, my first few fringes, I didn't pay for PR, I didn't pay for the big posters, I didn't pay for a prestigious venue, I did things on the cheap and, gradually went bit by bit. But also I recognized the huge privilege that I did that in the context of having earned money in Japan, had a previous career doing non-comedy and comedy adjacent things. So, but also I just don't begrudge anyone that's got an advantage. We mentioned Olga. Olga did a whole show about her coming from money, right?
Yes.
Really, we should be judging people by have they given people a great time. If someone's paid money to go and watch them, do you leave that show feeling happier or more joyous? And no amount of money or investment into someone's career can give someone the ability to make a room full of people happy. That still requires hard work and graft and talent.
What podcasts have you been listening to? Any new ones you've been listening to recently?
Well, I'm mainly on politics podcasts at the moment. I'm even listening to politics podcasts I don't like.
Okay. Well, you should listen to mine then if you don't like it. The More Freedom Foundation. Give it a go.
I'm listening to like the one with George Osborne and what's his face, stuff like that.
Rory Stewart. So the podcast he's referring to, before I interrupt with the wrong answer, is Political Currency. And yes, it is presented by George Osborne and Ed Balls. There seems to be a certain meme at the moment for ex-politicians from two different parties, Labour and the Conservatives, to have a podcast together, and they tend to not be that far apart, politically speaking.
Oh no, that's the rest is politics.
Yeah,
I've gone off that a bit. I'm just listening. And what I find interesting is I like listening to like establishment politicians.
Why don't you mix the two and listen to Trash Future?
Yeah, well, exactly. But like I do find it fascinating to watch the establishment politicians, the people that were in power 20 years ago, just not understand how much the world has changed. And I do kind of find their discussions fascinating.
But I nearly almost find, well, something from like, say, the 1980s would work better today, because there's a certain earnestness that I think people like. That was sort of destroyed by like Blairism.
Well, I mean, we're speaking in the wake of Anne Widdecombe's death.
Potential murder?
Yeah, potential murder. Who knows what's happened? What I'm not going to do is do what Nigel Farage did, which is go, I'm not going to speculate on the motive. It could be someone broke in and killed her. In the very next
That is like a bit, though.
Yeah, so funny. She's of a generation where, and forgive me for saying this, her views aside, because she was a homophobe and all this other stuff, but at least she had convictions. And I think she's the kind of politician where if she were in her 20s now, she would be on TikTok really pissing people off. I also think that the reason why we don't like politicians is because we are just so exposed to them. That like, I reckon we would, like, Rome would have gone through as many emperors if they had a 24-hour news cycle. But it just took 3 months to give news of one part of the empire to another that there's been a birth. Right, like the reason the politicians stayed in power for so long in the past was because news didn't travel as fast.
It's hard to know. The Conservatives were just a bit leaderless ever since they lost that general election with Europe.
What I mean is, we want to delegate the role of politics to politicians. Like there shouldn't be direct. There shouldn't be a referendum on things, really.
Oh,
right, because the point of having politicians is they're the ones that can exercise care and judgment over issues, and we elect them to do that on our behalf.
Oh, because I'm a big fan of the way Switzerland do things, where it's like referendums flat out.
Well, I guess that's easy when there's.
But I know it's a very different system. It's a lot more bottom heavy.
Yeah, exactly. And there's only like 60 Swiss people. Right, they can meet in a town hall and get it all sorted, and they got loads of money, so they're fine. No, I kind of believe that if we had politicians who kind of care a little bit less about
optics,
and pissing the wrong people off, and worked with conviction, the point of having a bicameral system, the point of having a parliamentary system is you can have eccentrics and mad lads doing objectionable things, but the system will take care of that. I think it's good that Reform have seats in Parliament, right? That doesn't mean that I want it
as a vent for those sorts of people.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, they're not going to be wrong about absolutely everything. And that's kind of the point, right? That what will happen is this party of racists, right? What they're going to do is they're going to be beating the drum for a certain type of politics, which is controlling immigration, which is putting British people first, all of which are not in of themselves bad ideas, right? Like it's not a bad idea to go, we've got a certain amount of money, how does that welfare budget get spent?
Well, the classic thing is it tends to be a lot of things you agree with, and then at the end it switches to be like, it's all the Muslims' fault.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And so I like the idea that there are people who are really, really focused on, and of course, this idea of like repatriation or all this awful stuff about, banning religions, it all feels very un-British and I really hate it. But I'm really glad that there are politicians who have, I believe their convictions. I don't believe this is just big money and they're puppets for it. I believe that this comes from a form of patriotism. Just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean that I don't think it deserves a place in Parliament. And it might also help shift the national narrative in a way that does appease these voters, such that we don't have to have a Nigel Farage as Prime Minister.
Well, I've been listening to Skin Wigs a lot. I'm slightly obsessed with it. So your current Lou Vega show will be, you basically have a residency every Wednesday?
Yes, Wednesday at the Big Caves. And I'm also doing my Most Toast show at the Big Caves 2 at different times. But Wednesday evening, 10:30 p.m., I've kind of deliberately chosen an obscure time slot because I don't want people who don't get it to come. But I don't want people wandering in off the street. I want you to...
What it would be the classic Edinburgh time slot?
I think the best time slots now are the pre-lunchtime ones. I think people that are doing it at midday and 1.
Because people, it's more of an older audience?
Yeah, but it's also people that aren't yet drunk and people that have kind of made a deliberate choice to see you. So I think early in the day, late at night are people that are not taking a punt on you. Yeah, and I'm really excited about it. I'm doing loads of mixed bill stand-up shows and I'm hosting the 11 p.m. Live at the Big Cave. I'm hosting my panel show, Not My Audience.
Wow.
And so I'm doing a lot of different stuff. But I hope that those that get it, those that want to come and experience the broader spectrum of Lou Bega work, More Than Member Number 5, will come and indulge in an hour in my company.
Let's listen to some of Lou Bega's other songs together for an hour. It's very catchy. I hope it does very well and I hope you have a wonderful Fringe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I could really do with a proper outro, but anyway, Ollie Horn was fantastic. A very intelligent, intimidating, hard-working force in comedy. I wish him all the very best. And just to recap, his gig is at Just the Big Room at Just the... Bit of a mouthful. Just the Big Room at Just the Tonic at the Caves. So that will be the 12th, the 19th and the 26th of August at 10 p.m. But he, as he said before, is doing a plethora of other things. He is a very busy man. So if you're about, you'll probably bump into him. So thank you for listening and I wish you all the very best. Ciao, ciao.